Welcome once again to the Guy Who Knows a Guy podcast. I'm your host, Michael Whitehouse, the guy who knows a guy, and this is the Podapalooza series, and I am interviewing in this episode Daniel Kobryner, and I'm very excited for this one because one of the great things about Podapalooza is that sometimes they just say, hey, here's who you're interviewing. This is his name. Have fun. So I do know that Daniel is a life coach and talks about spirituality and such topics, which are definitely topics of interest to me, but I don't know a lot else. So we are going to meet Daniel together, audience, you and me. So Daniel, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, first of all, Michael, thank you very much for having me on your show. It's really an honor for me. And so I'm French. I live in London. And so I was active for 35 years in international sales and management. I've lived in different countries, in Germany, in Belgium, the UK. I've run companies. And during the pandemic, we went lockdown here in London. Everything was closed. And I had the opportunity to listen to people talking online about personal development, life coaches, business coaches, healers, astrologists, and a lot of this was very new to me. And first of all, I realized that, when I listened to coaches talking, I realized that I had coached people all my life without putting a label on that. You see, I always wanted people to get the best out of themselves. I always wanted to empower people, to motivate, to uplift, and right. So what I then decided is, I said, okay, actually, this is really what I want to do for the rest of my life. Now I'm going to concentrate on just coaching people, helping people. And again, it's something which is above myself. It's not like for money I do it because I really enjoy this, and I think I'm here on this planet to do that in a way. It's like, but this is now my new part, Michael, is that during these sessions, I met some people which I would call little spiritual. And I was brought up in a very, non-religious environment, very down to earth, etc. So I didn't have a lot, I was not used to a lot of things. And when people started talking about the universe, about the law of attraction, about the quantum field, about the karma and all energy healing, this was new, but actually it kind of talked to me. And then I started kind of embracing, wanted to do more. And really, there's a new part of me which opened up.
I love that story about discovering, coming across it as you go. Because I also got into coaching in 2020. Although I knew what coaching was, I wanted to be a coach for a long time. I just didn't know where, how, whatever. And in 2020, the opportunity sort of tripped over me. I tripped over it and stumbled into it. But yeah, a lot of that stuff, that spiritual stuff, that woo stuff, I'd heard about it, but law of attraction, yeah, what is that? And then, as I described to someone, I met way too many millionaires to not believe in what they believe in. People who had gotten concrete results. And then when I started putting it into practice in my own life, I started seeing it working. I'm like, hey, there's something to this. It's not, it's not necessarily visible like the rain, but you can't see the wind either, but you can see the effect it has. And the more I got into it, the more I'm like, no, this is really a thing. There's something going on here. So yeah, I love that story about, as you encounter more and more people talking about it. I think that's also when you get away from the people who are abusing it, take my $15,000 manifestation course and I will magically attract everything to your, when it's people are just honestly in a conversation. Yeah, I do this thing. It works really well for me. Here's how I do it. You can do it too. That's when you start to discover like what's really all about.
Yeah, absolutely. Even you see, even before that manifestation, I didn't even know that. I remember the first time I listened to people talking about this. I said, "What's this?" But you see, now, in a way, in this journey, and again, it's what I learned the most, Michael, is to become again who I truly are.
Mm-hmm.
Truly am. You know, it's being really okay, I had been quite a lot authentic, but you see, I put it to another level. In a way, started realizing that, what others think, it's their problem, it's not mine. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really not being, judging myself through the eyes of others, not trying to get validation, just realizing that all the power we have in ourselves,
Yeah.
and it's just a matter of sometimes through our childhood, particularly the first 7 years, where we've got so-called childhood experiences, trauma, emotions. Basically, we learn everything. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of, our programming is done during these first 7 years of our lives. And it comes nearly automatically because the brain of a child works at the theta brainwave. So basically, we take everything, it's getting printed in our brain and we take it without filter. So this is our truth. So for instance, if we imagine our parents are arguing, right? Okay, well, this is how it is. We learn how to react. And afterwards, we are going to look for partners who have the same patterns. Is it good
Mm-hmm.
for us? No, but we do it because it's safe. So you see, I learned a lot of things about the brain and how it works and how we are conditioned by our childhood, but as well that change is possible at any time in life.
Mm-hmm.
This was my biggest teaching.
So how did you get into coaching? Because you don't just say, I'm going to be a coach and start coaching people. Did you take a course? Did you find a
Yes,
mentor?
no, exactly. First, I started listening to people. First thing I did is I got myself a coach,
Okay.
right? And of course, because it's for a lot of months, I still work with coaches and mentors.
Mm-hmm.
It's a And by doing this, I realized, some of my blind spots. And obviously, a blind spot, by the definition, you don't see it.
Yep.
You don't see it yourself. So again, I made a lot of work on myself. I was in a group of different people, and all of us evolved tremendously. So it was like, wow, it was the best investment I've done because of first, when you do it, you think, I spend money for myself. Why? And then but you realize that actually what you are getting, it's a new transformation. So this
Yep.
was the first thing. And afterwards, what I did as well is I thought, yeah, I need to have some, I really want to have some good basis. So I decided to take a certification with Mindvalley.
Okay.
So I became, it was I think 4 months, and I became a certified Mindvalley life coach.
Okay. And then how did you turn that into a practice? How did you start finding clients and
Okay. First, and I have to say, I'm still at the start of my business, Michael. Right? It's
mm-hmm.
not, so first I started finding, pro bono
Mm-hmm.
clients because obviously you need them as well for, you need to have a certain number of hours for the certification.
Yeah.
And afterwards, this was like, some of them turned into paid clients, and very often it's word of mouth as well.
Mm-hmm.
People, and but now I'm really in the process of expanding this business. I only launched my website, I think, a month ago,
Okay.
and where I've got my programs, and I built a sales funnel as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting into these technicalities. And one thing I did, which was very new to me, is becoming more visible.
Yeah.
It's, I have to say, before I was not on social media, Facebook. I was never, never interested. I mean, in kind of showing myself or even looking at other people's stories. It's not me, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, right, this is who I am. But now, when somebody said to me, you see, Daniel, you've got to, I mean, it's important to be visible, and it's not about, you, but it's really about your message.
Yeah.
That, if you talk to people and people might resonate with you, and then, might want to work with you. So, and you see in Instagram, I said, okay, Instagram is the best. So I thought, okay, but I still want to do something which brings value. So my first reels, they were about, each of them was about a particular subject. For instance, the first one, I remember, it was like, life is a decision.
Mm-hmm.
Happiness is a decision.
Yeah.
Happiness is coming from within. Or why should we embrace emotional intelligence? Why should we embrace feedback? Why, you see, every time I try to find something where basically when people listen to it, they can learn something. You know,
Mhm.
I mean, learn, if they come or not, it doesn't matter. It's about helping people. And it's why I decided as well to become a podcast host, which is very recent, and
Yep.
to go into motivational speaking because I like to do that. I like to uplift people.
That's great. Yeah. And podcasts are a really great way, especially for someone who's new in business, to learn. So this is, I don't know what episode this will be, 230 or something. But my episodes, I think around 60 to 110 were that whole season was interviewing people who are successful in business when I was not yet. And just basically saying, how'd you do it? And just having a whole parade of people tell me. And now, if I called these people up and be like, hey, can I pick your brain for 40 minutes? They'd be like, no. Or sure, give me $1,000. But because I invited them on a podcast as a guest, they tell me everything because it's, it's for exposure. So I got basically free coaching calls with these 7-figure business owners, one after another, after another, after another, for free for the low price of having a podcast. And the really cool thing is when you invite someone to be on your podcast, most people say yes. If you don't overcomplicate it, like, hey, you want to be on a podcast? Cool. Here's the link to book. Everything you need's on that link. Just fill that out and we'll talk then. And you'll be amazed who will say yes when you're like, hey, you want to get on the podcast? Sure. I mean, Tony Robbins won't, Gary Vee won't. But other than that, any coach you meet in any sort of event, they'll be like, yeah, sure, I'll get on your podcast. Why not?
Absolutely. And actually, I literally started last week, but I had already 4 interviews and
Yep.
one is already published. And I had somebody coming to me. He's a coach and he says, oh, and of course I describe, myself quickly, but he says, yeah, I'd love to come on your podcast. And I had a short interview. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
So I resonate. Thank you so much, Michael, because it gives me a lot of encouragement. You see, for me, it's as well about having a great conversation.
Yep.
It's not like I wouldn't do it just to get something. It's just really to see and to it's really for our listeners as well. What can they get? How can they be inspired?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's Phil Paluccia describes a podcast as a good podcast is like you're sitting at the end of a table where two people are having a conversation and you're just listening in on their conversation. And that's what people want to hear. And then, they want to learn something, they want to get something from it. But it doesn't have to be anything fancy. These days, Zoom, when I first started, I used there was software that would record locally and then upload that recording because it would deal with the Zoom glitches. But now Zoom is so reliable and the noise cancellation is so good that you can just do it on Zoom. It's super easy. The post production is super simple, and it's such a, and I think actually in the volume balancing, Zoom gets that pretty good now too. But I set my settings a long time ago that it saves 2 separate audio files, so I can balance it. I think I said it that way. But yeah, what's amazing is how easy it is to do, and it's such a great networking tool because if you reach out to someone and say, hey, I'd like to get on a call and see how we could work together. I don't know. I don't want to get to know you call. Hey, I'd love to have you come on my podcast. Sure. Same conversation. You have the same conversation, a podcast interview or a networking call, except they'll give you an hour for the podcast, of which 35 minutes is the interview and 25 minutes is the networking call. And they would barely give you 30 minutes for the networking call. So yeah, podcast is such a great asset for someone who's getting started. So it's really smart you're doing that. And that's and yeah.
Absolutely. And you see, really, you meet amazing people. I mean, afterwards, it's, today, I had somebody very spiritual. It's a person who she's a coach, but it was not Podapalooza, it's something else. But
Mm-hmm.
and it was, talking me about, spirits and old souls and psychic experiences. And you think, wow, so again, I'm learning a lot, this is fascinating. And Michael, I don't know if you resonate with this one, but if we speak now together, it's not a coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everything happens for a reason. This is my new me
Oh yeah.
talking, you know.
Yeah. 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 There's a poem called Desiderata that the key part, I can't remember if it's the beginning or not, but that the universe is unfolding precisely the way it should. That everything happens. So I actually and so something I used to do, and you're welcome to steal this idea, is I had a podcast that I called the Power Lunch Live Show, and I use StreamYard, although StreamYard's prices have shot up, so you might use Restream now. And I would bring on 4 guests at a time. So I had a Google form, and people would fill out, name, email address, bio, what they want to talk about, and what Friday they're available, because it's always the same time of the week.
Sure.
And then I would just grab the first 4 people who said they were available on a day, and that's who goes on that show. And I did that for about 65 weeks. And I would say that the show was produced by serendipity and a random happenstance, because I made no effort to put the right people on the show together, because the universe could do a better guest lineup than I could. And what I found was I'd get on these, I would find similarities between the different guests. So we'd do it for an hour, and then I'd give each one like a 3-minute spot to talk about their topic, and then we'd just kind of open up the conversation to whatever. And people would every time be like, wow, Mike, how'd you put us together? How'd you know we needed to be on the same show? And I was like, I didn't even know who was going to be on this show. I showed up. I mean, I was the one who sent out the emails and whatnot, but I didn't really pay attention. I cut and paste a bunch of things into the emails and said, hey, you're going to be on this date. I showed up. I saw who was in my room. I interviewed them. And my producers, the universe, the divine power, whatever it is,
Yes, absolutely. The
put
universe,
the right people on that show. And it was, and it's funny because I stopped doing it when the universe basically said, we're done. Because for a while I was booking out 6 weeks. Everyone wanted to be on it constantly. And then one day, like a light switch, they stopped signing up. And I'm like, guess we're done. Yeah, you listen to that intuition, listen to that universe, and we're done. But it was such a great opportunity. I think I had 140 people on that show over the course of the time that I did it. And I made so many connections. I made, found joint venture partners. I found people who spoke on my summits. I found, all kinds of people I was able to get on there. And it was and it was so easy to do too, because I'd go into a networking room and I'd say, hey, I have this thing called the Power Lunch Live Show. If you want to come on it, fill out this form. I just dropped the form in the chat. And 7 people would sign up for various times. I wasn't chasing people down. I was saying, hey, what date are you going to be there? Somebody no-showed, they no-showed. They're not meant to be there. So I didn't even worry about following up with people who didn't show up. I was like, whatever. I guess we got 3 people this week. So it was a great experience and great way to meet a lot of people and learn from a lot of people. And I never knew what we were going to be talking about on that show. We had so many different things, from fairies and other universes to financial and tax strategies to marketing to health stuff to everything. It was a fascinating experience.
But it's, and I resonate so much. Thank you for sharing. I mean, it's such a wonderful experience, Michael. And you see, really now, this is my vocabulary. Every day, universe has my back. Things happen, and sometimes I know what I'd like to do, but the how it happens now. Before I would have, it would have been control. I would have chased. I would have done all the things. I was an overthinker. I was a perfectionist. Now finished. Now I'm going there. I'm taking the first step, and I trust the process, and I trust the universe. And you know what? Things are happening. You are talking about serendipities. Again, a term I didn't know before, and now not only I'm using it, but I'm using as well synchronicities. So many things happening. I'm thinking of something, and then somebody talks about this, and then I read an article. It's okay. You see, my secret now, it's practicing gratitude.
Yes.
I'm grateful, and I say, the number of times a day I say thank you, thank you, universe, thank you. I'm just smiling, and this is it. Things are happening. And even, what you said for you, when you said it stopped at a given time. It's a universe telling you, Michael, now I've got something better.
Yep.
For you, whatever it is, it could be different things. It's like, right, let's go to the next step. You see, it's really, how do we look at things? And when we look at every event in our life, and instead of thinking, oh, it's a challenge, it's difficult, I can't do this. Okay. If you ask yourself, why is it happening in my movie? Oh, okay. This is to teach me something. This person is there to teach me something.
Yep.
Right. We embrace this. And really, we go with this mindset. Very often we see that, oh, wow, yeah, this is the door for something else.
Yeah.
It's just that having the trust that everything's happening for our good. And when we really follow our path, miracles happen. So now I'm just enjoying miracles.
Yep. Yeah. And the, and the gratitude thing is so powerful. There's a method that I was taught, which is that you write down, I don't remember if I did 10 or 20. I did 10 or 20 things every day that you're grateful for, but you can't repeat them. So day one is pretty easy. I'm grateful for my home and the streets are safe and I'm healthy. And day two, you got to go a little bit deeper. Day three, you're like really digging in. And by day four, you're teasing it apart. You're like, I am grateful for pepperoni pizza and mushroom pizza. And like just to really dive in to get those things. But once you get to that point, then you really start to develop the habit. And so when my car got totaled the other day and, someone clobbered my car, my initial, my trained response was, I'm grateful no one's hurt. I'm grateful I'm in a financial position where this is not a disaster. I'm grateful that this happened in a place where help was able to come quickly. I'm grateful that I have a wife that I can call to pick me up. And so I immediately went to all of the good things there. Instead of the like, oh, this ruins everything. And it was also, it was somewhat clear to me what message God was trying to send, that maybe he'd been sending more subtly before he had to hit me with a car. But it was, what lesson am I meant to hear? And then also, what are the good things? So instead of that, like, so I didn't get angry at the other driver. Although there's some dispute as who falls. But I didn't get angry at the other driver. I didn't get angry at the situation. It's like, this is what is. Let's deal with it. Move forward. Because getting angry is not productive in that situation.
Exactly. And you see, when we get angry, the only person we penalize is ourselves.
Yeah.
And it drives our emotions down. So
I think there's times, one thing I am finding is there's times when it's valuable to be righteously angry. And it's also okay, something happens like when technology doesn't work. I will sometimes yell at it very loudly. And I used to be like, no, I shouldn't be angry. I need to maintain positive. And what I realized was that this energy it just goes back in and stays. So, yelling at a computer sometimes is a nice cathartic release. The computer doesn't care if I yell at it. Doesn't bother it. Maybe someone outside the window is like, what's he yelling at? But, it doesn't hurt anyone. I'm not, and it lets that out. And there's definitely times where I find it can be useful to, when someone is doing something that needs to be forcefully addressed, shall we say, criticizing things in the industry or whatnot. There's a use for that. But in there's a car accident, there's no use in getting angry at the cops or the other driver or there's nothing to get angry at there. It is what it is. We're dealing with it. And to manage that energy is a really, really key thing.
Absolutely. And see, even, and what you said, even, when people criticize you, for instance, one of the biggest tool I learned, and really which I apply every day, is to apply the saying, don't take things personally.
Yeah.
Don't take things. It comes from a book, the Four Agreements.
Yep.
Perhaps you read it. And you see, first thing I thought, what's this? Somebody says something. No, it's got nothing to do with us. It's the person reflecting on you or the outside world for better, their own insecurities, their fears, their childhood trauma. But it's not you. It's not. And when you realize that, the fact is not going to change. The person is still going to criticize. But what we make of that changes. We said, it's your problem. It's not
It's a them problem, not a me problem.
Yeah.
I'm awesome. If you don't like me, that's a you problem.
Exactly that. This is, and when we start like not reacting, people are very puzzled.
Yeah.
And then eventually they're going to change because they see that, if they try to trigger you, it's not working. But at least it's their thing.
Yeah.
Again, what we make of the world, this is our choice. And this is really, powerful, I think.
Absolutely. So it looks like we are coming to the end of our Podapalooza spot here in the Podatorium. So
Yes.
if people want to connect with you, how can they do that?
Well, there's my website now, which is www.danielkobryner.com. And I will leave you as well, the details of I've got Instagram, I'm available on LinkedIn.
Okay.
And
All that will be in the show notes, of course. Yeah.
it will be in the show notes. Yes, exactly. And thank you so much for your time. It was such a nice, easy flowing
Yes.
conversation, Michael. Like,
Yep.
as you say, on the same table, just having a chat. This is really
It
what's
was
really
great
nice.
to have you on here because in my mind, all coaching should have a French accent because the original trainer who taught me the coaching concepts was French. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, he was living in Canada. He was not French Canadian. He was a French person living in Canada, which is different from French Canadian. So
Yeah, no, of course. I've been to Quebec. Are you from Canada yourself, or
no,
are you
from Connecticut.
from Connecticut?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Indeed.
so I and he had quite a bit heavier accent than you do. So there's different words, like the way he said words like thoughts, which I had to be
Salt.
like what is he saying? Soats? Oh, thoughts. He's saying thoughts. But yeah, so I'm used to learning about coaching in a French accent. So it was
I
very
know.
nostalgic. So it's great to get to connect with you.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. The pleasure. It was great. It was like my last interview today, and it's beautiful. Thank you
Great.
so much.